All right. Welcome, dear friend, to another epic talk about our great awakening. And today I have my dear brother and friend on the path, Malcom. Welcome, Malcom.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, Malcom is a filmmaker, and the only thing he does is to work on the Great Awakening, showing us the best possible future. So the talk today is going to be about being connected to our heart-based vision. And if we just all tune into our heart-based vision, all will be well. So Malcom, you have been working with this for a number of years, and today we're going to dive into your specific journey, so we understand the man behind all the great work, right? So we're going to talk about our inner awakening, which is part of the Great Awakening now happening, and we're going to talk about the outer awakening, also a big part of the Great Awakening. And then we talk about inspiration and advice on the path. So let's get started.
All right.
We now live in the most challenging time in our whole history and evolution. We understand that the system we're in is not working, it's breaking down. And we are now challenged in all ways, every area in our life. And what we understand is also that this is a shift from an old era, the Piscean era, to the era of Aquarius. And if we look into even grander timelines, there is a shift from the Iron Age to the Golden Age. So this is now the last days of the old era. And for those of us who are already connected to the new era, we are already in the Golden Age. But in order for the Golden Age to appear outwardly, we need more people to do the shift inwardly. So as we come to this planet, many of us, or all of us, are small little angels with the connection all in place. But then we're going through the schooling system and the society's third dimensional hard reality, and we lose the connection. So how was it for you when you came to this world? Did you keep your connection all the time, or did you have a profound moment? When was the starting point for you, and what happened?
Well, that's actually, thanks for the question. That's actually a very interesting one for me, which I've spent some time reflecting on, because one of the things is when I was young, we lived up in the very far north in Canada, in Yellowknife, which is the capital city of the Northwest Territories. And so being so far north back then, we didn't have as much technology. We only had television for 4 hours a day from the Annex satellite, and I spent all my time out in nature. So the north is interesting in that it's more barren, but we had big chunks of Precambrian shield literally out of our backyard, and we were like little billy goats running on the running on the hills and jumping on the rocks and all these different things, and going to the lakes, and just spending so much time connecting with nature. I think that actually helped me perhaps keep that connection more. I remember when my father passed away, I went back and saw some of my old school writings, and I found a little poem that I wrote when I was 5, and it said something to the effect of, I took a walk in the woods, and a purple butterfly came up to me and said, "You must follow me." And I said, "I'm sorry, but I must go my own path." And I was like, I'm 5 years old. What do I know about going my own path? And yet somehow there was an understanding that perhaps it was important to choose the road less traveled, and that maybe that was part of my plan and my time to be here, is to not be so focused on just the material things of the world, but trying to bring, well, ultimately trying to bring connection to bigger ideas and deeper ideas. And the fact that I ended up, many years later making a movie called The Connected Universe about the interconnection of all things in the universe and quantum physics and oneness and new ideas about how the mechanism of connection actually works, and that I've spent most of my adult life working doing humanitarian projects and bringing ideas and heart-centered thinking into, into light, and trying to give it a higher quality light than is normally given to nonprofit and make a difference projects. I think that has continued to be on my path. For me, I I feel that I have a responsibility to do the best I can, working with myself and my energy to be as heart-based and connected as I can, to be able to share the work. So, because film is such a powerful medium, I've actually had over 2 billion viewers in 186 countries from my career that I know of, because in some of the television programs, they keep far more detailed stats than we get on the internet. But now, yeah, it's been an interesting and humbling thing to realize that more than 1/4 of humans have seen something from here and here, and that's been a way of bringing some, I think, important things forward.
Yeah. Thank you for that sharing. So what I'm really looking to find is, when we get those profound burning bush experiences, all who are awake, they're so profound, so words are not enough, because words are just mental. But this, we talk about profound experiences, feelings that just takes us to new levels of love and understanding of the divine in cosmos.
Right.
So do you have any of those that you could share with us?
Well, I certainly, they haven't been as dramatic as being, stopped in my tracks, because I I think I've found myself on that path for a long time, but I've certainly have had things that have been, really, really powerful, I guess, reinforcements and things to say, you know what, you're going the right way, and or here's some extra light and some impact. I had some very serious cancer battles and was on my deathbed more than half a dozen times, and where maybe I might not get to see the next sunrise. And I think, in times like that, just the clarity, oftentimes when people are facing that kind of death, they're usually, well, hopefully, they're in the later stages of their life, and maybe in 70 or 80, if they're statistically lucky and make it that far. The challenge with that, there's great learnings and teachings that come from facing those kind of experiences. And I was unlucky enough / lucky enough to have those experiences in my early 30s, which then, reinforced the importance of doing things that to me mattered, and what could I do to make the world a little bit better place, and how can I use my filmmaking skills to help shine a light and to make a difference. Because in my work, I've worked with numerous billionaires and other people who have what by society would be considered everything, yet not all. And in fact, there's when you focus on a certain aspect, like wealth generation, you may be missing out on some of the other things that you don't focus on because you're so focused on that. It's been my experience so far that if you're deeply, deeply focused on that, a lot of times people may miss the things with deeper meaning in life. So I I think there's some real learnings, I guess, that happened. So it wasn't as much of a uh, burning bush lightning bolt moment to say, oh, shift, but to be like, it was experientially reinforced that, you know what, because when you're dying and you can't take anything else with you but your experience and who you've touched and who have you loved and what have you contributed bigger than yourself. um, I think that there's that when people answer those questions for themselves, I mean, obviously it's going to be different for everyone, but I can certainly say that for me, um, I think that was a big reinforcement that, you know, we all have limited time. Tomorrow is guaranteed to no one. And um, I was deeply touched by the film Dead Poets Society. You know,
Okay.
gather ye rosebuds while ye may. Old time is still a flying. For the same flower that blooms today, tomorrow will be dying. And that,
Mm.
Robin Williams, especially, we're food for worms, and so seize the day. To like truly carpe diem and try and make things count. And
Yeah,
I've done my best to do that with the time that I've had so far.
mm, you truly have. Thank you. Yeah, um, I noticed there is a few types of spiritual awake people, and many are actually like yourself. You're unaware how spiritual you are because it has happened so smoothly. It's more when you have a close to death experience and you see the light and you have profound spiritual experiences, then that is a bigger knock to your life than the smoother path. The smoother path don't yeah just makes us uh, like the understanding we're not human doings, we're human beings, and
Yeah,
it's to wake up to the beingness that
right.
we now need to do, and that's actually what you have shared with us. So okay, moving on, I like to if we could do this. There is a few movies that you made and film projects that you made that actually share this understanding in every angle. So you point from it from all angles to understand this,
Right.
right? Or should we say understand this?
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
they're actually the same.
yeah,
And yeah, this is in fact the beauty of it. And to your point that we just covered is that the path is going to be different for everyone, and every human is unique, and every human has a different experience. And part of the exciting thing I think about being human is to be able to have the inward looking and define, what is true for you, what resonates, how do you um, take your steps down the path. And what resonates for me may not be the same thing as what resonates for someone else. And yet when you look at, in quantum physics, they get you to try to look at the deepest underlying principles. And it's certainly, I've traveled a lot. I've been in over 400 cities in 60 countries. And I'm at first, when I traveled, I would see the differences, like, oh, this place is amazing. Oh, we don't have that here. Look what they have here. And yet now with all this travel, when I go to a new place, I usually just see the sameness of our humanity. People wanting to be loved, spend time with their friends, connecting, live their dreams, be safe, have some security, you know, um, that they can feel free to speak, and that you can just see, you know, a mother with a young child, and, you know, parents looking to protect their kids and all these different things, is that we're so much the same.
Mm.
Like, it's amazing that we have our unique strengths and differences, and yet we also have such a high degree of humanness and humanity that's part of who we are. And I think
Yeah.
whenever I've seen doing humanitarian projects, you see sometimes the very worst of humanity and sometimes the very best of
Mm.
humanity. And so there's a very wide range of how humans choose to be. And I think that's a big part in the Great Awakening, is understanding the choice of how do you want to show up in the world? Who do you want to be? What do you want your heart to say? How do you want your light to shine? I think that, you know, those are questions that everyone has to answer, and people are born in very different circumstances in different countries and in different paths. So it's not always an easy thing. I mean, I'm Canadian, so I'm very lucky to have been born into a place where I've had, you know, a lot of opportunity and good education and good healthcare and all these things. So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
it is that journey is also, I think it's really important to recognize that we are all in different places, and yet we can all take steps to move forward and to grow and to expand our consciousness and to raise our consciousness.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And that actually brings me to that we all came to this world with a profound mission, especially now in this time and era we live in. So
Yeah,
we're all important pieces of the big puzzle, right?
yeah,
We just need to understand that when we are preoccupied with less important things, to just maintain our lives and pay the bills, all
mhm,
the time and energy are wasted on that, or wasted, it's just how it is right now. So to
right,
really wake up to our mission, why we came to this planet, is exactly what you said, to understand that we have a passion inside for
mhm,
certain things, that
yeah,
we have talents for, that we're good for, and that's actually the same thing. They coincide with the mission. It's the same thing. If
yeah,
we just do what makes our heart sing, right,
mhm,
then we live the best life for ourselves, and we give the best to the world.
yeah.
So you are a perfect example of this.
Well, I certainly far from perfect, but that is also the beauty in that's also the beauty in our humanity, is that no one is perfect and everyone has their challenges and difficulties. And I think one of the things that's interesting, because we're doing this interview right now in 2020 in COVID time,
Mm.
um, is that the world is effectively cocooning people, in that people who'd normally been, you know, they've been on their path, they've been charging ahead, and they've had maybe no reason to um, evaluate the path or direction that they've been going on, because they've been able to meet their needs by going on their path. But
Mm.
I think that when something like this happens, a lot of times suffering can be a great teacher,
Yeah.
and that it's in difficult times where people tend to learn more and grow more and be forced to expand. So, you know, while the heart goes out to all the people who are having difficulties in these times, because they're very, you know, they're very real. Financial stress is very real. Health stress, losing loved ones, not being able to see and connect with people. I think some of the things that maybe hadn't been as highly prioritized in our previous busy life are actually now getting some more awareness about, you know what, it really is important to be able to give your mom a hug and
Yeah.
to be able to spend time with your friends and be close and laugh and not worry about anyone, becoming ill from, you know, connecting and sharing time together. So,
Mm.
um, but I think it's also can be an opportunity for people to say, well, you know what, maybe this is a chance to look at how do I go forward in a new way. And
Mm.
if I've been forced to do that because the job I was working in doesn't exist anymore, um, what would I want that to be? Like, what is my purpose? What is my passion? What do I care about? What lights me up? And is there a way that I can do that?
Yeah.
Because if more people could do that, the world would be a better place because everyone would be giving and contributing more, and they would show up being more authentic, more genuine to um, what they're here for. And from your experience, when you do that, often good things can happen in
Yeah.
the ripple effect, in terms of connecting and inspiring to friends,
Yeah.
the impact that you can have on a stranger with a kind word or helping hand, or just, you know, being there at a critical moment for them. It can make all the difference.
Yes.
I've done a lot of work in mental health and well-being and suicide prevention and different things to
Mm.
try to help in harm reduction in our country and in others. And that's always one of the things that really strikes me. This one young girl, and there had been some suicides in their high school, and she was like, "You never know when a kind word or helping hand can help someone at their breaking point." And
Mm.
it's really true, you know. And I think now, especially too during COVID time, it's important to understand that people are all in a different place and they all have different experiences that have shaped their perception. But you can still, if you want, choose to be a kind and loving and compassionate and respectful person, because believe me, the world needs that right now. And
Big
every
time.
single person that can be
Yeah.
that way or shift into being a little bit more that way,
Mm.
that's a welcome thing, because reality is tough for a lot of people right now.
Mm. So thank you. And actually, um, I like to upgrade one word you said in this talk there. If more and more people would start to follow their passion, I actually would say since more and more people are now following, it's happening.
It
It's
is.
happening big time,
Yeah.
right?
I've seen
So
a huge shift in, like,
yeah,
yeah, I really, and not only seen, but I would use the words felt a huge shift
yeah,
as well.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So um, I like to go into this understanding to be connected to our heart-based vision. So
Mm.
the vision center, right? Where are we going? Where are we going? So now I worked on a project that never came to pass. For many years, I tried to get into the television industry with
Mm.
an understanding that if we just combine all the amazing documentaries that had been done now for the last 30 plus years, we
Yeah.
understand, yes, we see we are moving into a dystopian future. So how about start looking at some solutions,
Yeah.
right? And the bright future. Because if we spend more than 50% of our time, energy, and focus on the dystopian future, even though we are light workers and we try to do good, guess what? We are moving to the dystopian future.
Yep.
We need to stop that. We need to
Right.
spend more than 50% of the future we wish, right?
I
So
really, yeah, I
you
really,
are a big
really
part
agree.
of this. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I, 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 uh, I really, really resonate with that and align with that. For a time, I did some race car driving, and one of the things that they teach you there is you never look at the wall, because if you look at the wall, you're going to hit it. You need to look at where you want to go, not into the obstacle that you're going to run into. And I, I find it deeply challenging, all the focus on this, on so many of the dystopian ideas, when there is an opportunity to really focus on, there's some amazing things happening in the world. There's amazing people doing incredible work. There's a lot of, light workers who are shifting things. There are people who are shifting in business and technology and in so many different areas. And um, yet if you focus on certain sides of things, I'm challenged by the constant negative news cycles that exist, because I don't think that's a healthy way to connect. If you have people scouring the world all the time for the worst things that are happening all over, you're going to find lots of bad things to be looking at. Whereas if you can be looking at some of the amazing things that are happening in the world, there's also a lot of reason to be excited and hopeful for the opportunities that we have to do better, and how um, it's not just technology that's going to save us. It's the conscious application of the technology. And that means the first step to um, improving things is to improving our inner selves and improving our inner awareness. So you can have a ship that can take a ton of fish out of the ocean per day, and you can improve the technology and make it 5 tons of fish out of the ocean a day. To me, that's not a successful improvement. It's technically a technological improvement, but it's not maybe asking a better question of how can we more consciously use our technology to get done what we need to get done, but more harmony in with nature, creating more balance, being a connected part of the system versus trying to steamroll our humanity over top of everything else, or
Yeah.
lack of humanity in some of those cases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So let's move into, first we need to, I like to do it very simple.
sure.
Understanding mentally, right?
Yeah.
The vision, to understand it mentally, then feel it,
Mm-hmm.
experience it. So we
Yeah.
experience what we understand. That little journey is the profound journey that more and more and more of us are now waking up to. This is the Great
Yes.
Awakening. So how about we move into the outer awakening combined with the inner awakening, by showing the little clip of the Connected Universe movie you made.
Okay. So there's a couple of different ones, but I can show I can share a trailer with you that is used for the show. Let me just open that up for a second.
So maybe you could just share a few words about what you mean when you say the Connected Universe, and what actually the film is all about.
Okay, so the film is exploring some new ideas about how the interconnection of the of how the universe works. So the universe is, in balance with all the trillions upon trillions of things that are happening in every moment. There needs to be some deeper organizing principles that allow everything to work smoothly and for things to evolve. And the feedback mechanism of the universe, that we put things out and the universe is putting things back, that there's this flow. It allows for evolution. It allows for um, change and improvement to be balanced and managed. And so the film explores the work of a scientist, Nassim Haramein, who's been following some of the principles that Einstein was working on to get deeper understanding of unified physics, that there are some key principles underlying the way well, the forces of creation and the energetic continuing of co-creation. I'm a huge fan of Nikola Tesla, and he said, if you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that when you start to be able to see and feel those things in a different way, you can really change the experience of how it feels to be in this world, because this world can feel more disconnected, depending on your experiences and depending, excuse me, what you focus on, things can feel more disconnected. But if you start to deepen your understanding of how we are all one and how you can feel that connection and take that connection in, then your experience changes. And so I'll share this clip with you here.
Thank you.
And we'll take a look at that. All right. Here we go.
What if you were connected to everyone in the world? How would your life change? What if you could see the patterns, see the beauty, new ideas in science, deepen your connection to nature, to the stars, and to each other. Learn to see the world differently.
What really keeps me going, this transformation I can see when a person realizes that they're connected to everything and that they matter in the universe. We experience this life, and most people don't ask, like, how did I get here? What is this life? How am I moving trillions of atoms around? We often hear the concept, everything is connected, it's all one. For many people, it resonates as something true. But how is that true? Some of the work I've been doing starts to open the door to understanding how everything is connected. Everything we experience as reality is actually made up of 99.99999% space. So maybe instead of looking at matter, defining the space, I start to think maybe it's space that defines matter. When I look carefully at the natural world, I found this interconnectivity of all things. And I started to wonder, what is the source of this self-organizing system?
connected universe. Now on Vimeo.
So that gives a bit of a glimpse into some of the subject and ideas in the film. And honestly, it was really amazing to spend, well, I worked on the film for 15,000 hours. So I spent a lot of time, seeking to, go deep into the understandings of trying to understand the universe, trying to understand my place in it, our place in it, and exploring and deepening those feelings of connection. And so it's been really wonderful to see some of the feedback from people around the world. And in fact, you and I met at the London premiere at the BAFTA Theatre when you came to see the screening there. So the ripple effect of connection and interconnection, you never know where you're going to, where it's going to lead. But it's been wonderful to see and, get comments from people about how people have had some fairly profound shifts in how they look at things. I got a beautiful note from someone a while back who was dealing with, they lost a lot of loved ones in a short period of time. And they were feeling really challenged and disconnected and alone. And after they saw the film, they started feeling differently about that connection, and that feeling of aloneness actually became transformed when, instead of feeling aloneness, they started to feel connectedness. And I hope that that can be the outcome for other people as well. And however they find that, it certainly doesn't have to be through the movie, connecting out with nature, connecting with friends, having a really profound connection with someone that you love, a family member, or if you have find romantic love in your life, that there are, when you start to really feel those things, it shifts everything, because it changes your energy, it changes your frequency, it changes how you connect and experience things.
And with that comes to be at the right place at the right time, and things just magically falls into place, right?
That so can happen.
That is when we are in alignment and in that higher frequency. That is what is happening on a fairly daily basis. But when we get lower in the vibration, we get sad, and all the heaviness and the darkness of the world, we lose it. So this is back to what we started, the importance of being connected to our heart-based vision, to understand that this, what we experience right now in the world, is off track. This is not why we came to this world. We came to this world to bloom, to blossom, to become our full potential, and to help be a part of building this new paradigm, to set it up with all the amazing technologies and breakthroughs that are just waiting to come out of the closet, right?
Yeah, there are some profound things coming. I participate, in numerous think tanks and have had in the past also the opportunity of seeing things before sometimes they're revealed in the public, and there are incredible things on the way. And it's, again, not just technology that is going to help us. We need to figure out how to raise our level of humanity and to raise our consciousness so that we're ready to use the new technologies that we have in a powerful way for good, instead of the other way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So we are in the understanding of things, right? Let's move on to experience of things, right? So the experience of the time of Aquarius, because the first wave back in the 60s when Ramdas and Timothy Leary started the first part of the Great Awakening, right? The first chapter.
Right.
Yeah. And we had the explosion all over the world. We had the liberation movement going on. And there was a song made at that time at the band called Fifth Dimension, right? Which is what we are right now. We're moving from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And we can dive into more what that means later on. But the song was called Time of Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
And then I heard a little bird whispered in my ear that someone made an upgrade of that song. Could you be so kind to share a little bit of that? Because this is what the world is needed right now, a new boost of the time of Aquarius.
Right. Well, actually the executive producer of the Connected Universe, Mark Sims, he was also really feeling into the shifts that were coming literally on a universal level. And so he commissioned this new version of the Age of Aquarius and had me make the video for it to try and infuse some of those deeper resonant elements into that. And it was really wonderful to be working on something like this and when you for those who are into editing, you know how many hundreds, if not seemingly thousands of times, but probably not thousands in the end of the day, but the constant listening to that song, it was a really joyful 6 weeks working on bringing that forward because of some of the words and some of the energy behind it and plugging into how to connect with that. So, but as they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words and hopefully worth a few feelings. So let me cue that one up if you'd like to see. Okay, here we go. And then I can share that one and hope that you enjoy listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. And thank you to Mark Sims for bringing this all forward. So here we go.
understanding, sympathy and trust abounding. No more false derisions, golden living dreams of vision, mystic crystal revelation, and the mind's true liberation of where we are.
So
Right.
one of the things that I wanted to do in the video is to honor the cultures and ideas that have come before us, is that they're trying to find our path and our way as humans is not something new. It's not something that we're just, struggling with now. Is that for millennia, humankind has been working to deepen their understanding, and there have been beautiful thinkers and people along the way and cultures who have helped advance that journey and who have helped to advance that awareness. And that I wanted to bring some of that in, because we are where we are now from the understandings that we have learned along the way. And an exciting part about the technology of the world today is that we have the ability to share with each other in an unprecedented way. And again, that technology can be used to manipulate and control and focus people's attention on certain things, or it can be used for sharing wonderful, beautiful ideas and for bringing things forward, and to find others around the world who also, care about bringing in a more conscious, more connected future for humanity. And that we can do that in a more connected way than it's ever been possible at any time of history. So but it's up to each of us to take advantage of that and to be a contributor in that and do what we can to raise our own consciousness and to raise our own connection. And you talked about, what is the key to that? And for me, from my work and my explorations, it's really important to deepen. There's something that is now being referred to by some people as the heart mind. So it's, you have neurons in 3 places in your body: in your brain, in your heart, and in your gut. That's why you have a gut instinct, why your heart falls in love, even if it doesn't make any sense. You're just like, I totally love that person. What, even though it's like, why? But I just do, and your brain is the one that is always playing games and trying to perceive things through its own mechanism. But if you go back to Nikola Tesla and think of energy, everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, the ability to feel into things, to feel into the moments, to feel into love, to feel into passion, to feel into kindness, to feel into those things. And even, the intensity of energy if you're feeling some of the darker things or the sadder things. I mean, you can strongly feel into those too. But when you can deepen this connection and you're not looking just with your brain and not looking just with your eyes, but really feeling into it from the heart, that's where, to me, my greatest, jumping back to your earlier question, those profound moments, those have always come. They've always come when I've been really in a heart-centered space and really feeling and really open. Your mind has so many barriers, so many things that it will use. And when, as a filmmaker, when I'm trying to connect with people, I try and, through the power of film, and use beautiful imagery and music and even the way that the motion graphics with the plexus shape and the triangles and the dots and things that move to sort of give people a capacity to feel. I'm so moved by film. I love movies. I go to, prior to COVID, I would go to and have for decades go to 1 or 2 movies a week in the theater, because I love being transported to different times and places and ideas, because I like to imagine, well, how would I feel in those situations, in that time, in that circumstance? And film, because it engages multiple senses and multiple modalities of visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, that a lot can be brought across through film. And I think it's important in a day when we can create and share media with each other, that people have different skills, but even still, FaceTiming with your family, connecting with your grandparents, or if you're a parent, connecting with your kids, those kinds of connections, there's never a substitute for in physical, presence and being in space with each other, but there's still the capacity to connect with each other over distance, and again, in a way that's never been possible. And it can be a beautiful thing if used correctly.
All right. Great, because this brings me to the next part of this talk, and that's actually talking about the Great Awakening, experience the Great Awakening. And if we look back, like we said, starting with Ram Dass and Timothy Leary, and what has happened every decade since then, we can see kind of a wave forward, a wave backward. It's like a breath, a breathing like this. Yeah. And now it's really out. Even though it seems like it's an in-breath because of all the close down, it's actually an out breath. Right. Yeah. So around the world, there has been an explosion of these fantastic organizations bringing together people in big ceremonies and workshops and bigger events like the Burning Man. So the Burning Man is probably the mother of all major grand awakening get-together organized festivals happening now in the world. And I don't know, if you look from above, you see that they were building a circle, like a geometry. I don't know, how far is it to fullness? Do you know? Is it 80% or something?
Well, yeah, sorry, explain your question. How do you mean it?
Well, it's like, I think it's about 80,000 people the last year that came, right?
Correct.
So if you look at from above, you see a circle, but it's like 1 or 2 cake slices left to be full.
Well, what's beautiful is Jacob Riglin last year took some extraordinary drone footage at the Burning Man event, and if you look at it from the air, it looks like you're looking at a galaxy because of all the lights and everything that are there, and it's which can partly explain some of that connection that people feel there because of the freedom that exists and how you choose to show up. You can actually really feel into some of those flow states and those creative states. I mean, there's a reason that, you know, people like Elon Musk and visionary people who are working in all different fields, you know, in neuroscience and all different kinds of things, and people from all walks of life, it's a great energetic recharge for creativity and for being, having the freedom to be outside of the boxes that you're normally in. Again, like anything, is an opportunity that you can choose to use in a really powerful way, or, you know, you can choose a different way. But, you know, I've found very, very wonderful experiences there from, you know, connecting to this, you know, creative, energetic flow, and, you know, really seeing the kindness in the gifting economy and the enthusiasm with which you see and greet people, and the way you see people shine. Like, you know, people in their day-to-day life, and then they go there and they get to play and be free and be open, and you literally watch the light in their eyes change. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now this last one, they weren't able to hold it.
No.
So another little bird came to me and whispered that you helped with that bridging the connection to the experience of Burning Man. So now again, we'll go from understanding it to connect with it and feel it heart-based. So you put together a little film that helped people connect with the essence of Burning Man. So all wasn't lost. Please tell us.
Well, that is something that's still in process that I'm working on. We were, ironically or not ironically, no coincidences, but in 2019 the theme was metamorphosis, and so we had our film crew there looking at and interviewing people and talking about metamorphosis and talking about transformation. And the very interesting thing is that, you know, a year later, the world finds itself really cocooned by COVID and undergoing a metamorphosis. And metamorphosis isn't always a pleasant thing. Like, for the caterpillar that is undergoing the metamorphosis, it's dying and its world is dying, and it's like, what's happening to me? Like, all of these I'm experiencing all these challenging things, and the body starts to liquefy, but then when the imaginal cells come into place, take over and create this whole new beautiful being that can fly. And it's a different shift on things when you look at it and go, well, wait, from an age of Aquarius perspective, are some of these deep challenges that people are feeling and experiencing, are they in fact some of that fuel for metamorphosis? Because if everything is running along status quo, people don't usually put that much energy into change. And yet, with these challenges that are happening, what if this is a great opportunity for humanity to take its next step up? What if it's your own chance to look inward and connect and find, what do I really want to do with my life? Because my job's gone now. Like, I don't have a job to go back to. So what do I really want to do? And the other thing is that, I had my cancer experience and my cancer battle back in my early 30s. But one of the things that COVID is bringing up for people is their sense of mortality and the fear that, because when people get sick, they don't know the magnitude. Are you going to be one of the lucky ones that it's just, like a bad flu and you get it and you recover and everything's fine? Or are you one of the people that it's much more serious or serious to the point of dying? It's bringing up a lot of fears in people about their mortality and what have they done with their life. And if they, are lucky and, this kind of passes them by and they're one of the ones who don't get very sick, what do they want to do with the rest of the time that they have left? It's an interesting, a challenging and interesting time, but it's also a great opportunity for some metamorphosis and for some change. So
yeah, big time. So how about if you could be so kind to share a little bit from
well, that one is still unfortunately in process, so I can't quite show that one yet, because we're still working on its evolution. But we hope that if we can find some other people who are resonating with that we can get that out into the world, and hopefully we can bring it out to the world within a year. So these films, especially ones that have deeper meaning, they usually take a while to in the post-production phase to really work with getting that to be as powerful as we can before we put it out. But certainly deeply excited about it, for sure.
Well, then let's do this. Let's do our best to talk about the experience. Because one of the things you get when you see good film is an inner experience, and you can come to cry, you can come to open your heart, you can get goosebumps, all of that, which is so profound, so it's beyond our words of talking about it. I have been fortunate enough to see a little bit of your work there. So I will just say a few words more, and then I'm going to let you to jump in and explain deeper. Sure. One of the things is that the journey we all are on to evolve as a being, from the caterpillar to the butterfly, is an inner experience of an inner evolution. It's to be connected all the time. So we are heart-based, driven all the time. And it takes some time to get to shed our skin, you know, the old skin, the old programs, the whole third dimensional lifestyle that we have been so dependent on, and to slowly leave that behind. When you go to a place like this and you have a whole week of just being in that presence, it's so profound. So it's a sadness when it's over and you have to go back to the normal life, right? And so what have happened is that we all have raised our vibrations to a much higher vibration, and there is love, there is deep connection with heart, and there is also profound connection with source. So we're all connected in every directions. We feel the oneness, we experience the oneness. And one thing that I noticed also with you and your work is your voice says it all. You know, in communication, there is 95%, which is not what we say. What we say is only 5%, right? Yeah. And how we say it is the whole thing. And you come from such a pleasant point in yourself when you do the narrative on this trailer. And also now when we speak, you know, you can hear and feel you're connected to your diaphragm. You're not connected to the fear, you're connected to your heart. And if we are just very noticeable about ourselves when we are living in the world now, especially now, talking to other people, phone or directly, do we send out peace and love, or do we send out fear and disharmony? So if we just become conscious of this, we can turn it around so much faster, so much faster. So please share a little bit about your work there with this as the topic of understanding the connected universe, the time of Aquarius, the spiritual journey we're all on, to come to the point where actually now it clicked in, now we are in it, now we live it.
Well, first off, thank you very much for your kind words. That's very, very nice of you to say. I really believe that people, and whenever I'm making a film, I always believe in people's ability to feel resonance and to feel connections around authenticity and around that there are energies that are present that go way beyond words that can be felt. And that's a huge part of human communication. And the great thing about that is when you're around someone who is highly resonant, like, again, so fortunate as a filmmaker, and especially one that focuses on humanitarian work, to have met so many truly wonderful people around the world that when you're in their presence, you can't help but feel good because of who they are and how they show up in the world. And that was actually one of the things at the movie premiere, how you and I ended up connecting, because I just noticed the way that, you know, amidst the crowd of people, the way in which, you know, you carried yourself through the room, the energy that you would have when you would connect with people, when you talk with them, and to actually be present. We all know people who are like, oh yeah, how are you? And they're already thinking about themselves and moving on to their next questions, or the next people they want to meet because they see across the way, or the people that, excuse me, that when you talk with them, you know, look in the eyes, take a moment to see and acknowledge them and to connect and feel into and create some space for the communication. Like we're so much more capable than we give ourselves credit for. And I think when you go into a place like Burning Man, where you get to in some ways be like, what do kids do? They love to play dress up. They love to imagine things. They love to try things out. They fall on their face. They get down. They try it again. And you're so filled with imagination and creativity. Like there's always something you can imagine and do and play and be. And that when you're in that place of beingness, adults don't always get to do that because of their responsibilities in the world and the paths that they've chosen, etc. So when you can go to a place where you can basically be like a kid again and to feel into that flow and into that imagination, into that creation space, but you can stay there for a period of time, it's amazing how much impact that makes on you when you choose to be in this. And some people like Jamie Wheel and Stephen Kotler in their book, about flow, they talk about, being in the zone and being in that flow state. Athletes know it, business people know it, where it's just like, wow, I am in the zone and I am just performing at my absolute best right now. That is a state that can be understood and connected to on a regular basis when you know how. And there's a lot of there's many people who have different pieces of the puzzle, and I think it's an exciting time to be able to explore those things and find out which are the things that resonate for you, because everyone is different. And for some people, an experience like Burning Man isn't something that they're ready to resonate with, and they may find, their connection and their flow in a different thing, in going out into nature or taking some time floating down a river or being, out on the ocean, or, there's multiple ways to achieve that state of connectedness. And my big thing is to try and encourage people to deepen their connection in all the ways that they can. And to try and use the moments when you're actually with your friend. Don't just be on your phone thinking of where else you want to be, but try and make that genuine connection where you can feel that time with each other, and you can feel the other person, and you can share, you can be there to listen, you can laugh together, you can have fun, or to
Exactly.
even the simple act of just quote unquote hanging out. I think COVID has made people appreciate how much that means to your overall well-being. Connection is a true human need. It's something that's part of no one. I think it's a little bit forgotten. If you take any one of us and drop us, in the Arctic on our own to survive, or drop us in the Sahara on our own to survive, we have a hard time. There's not many people that can pull off, quote unquote, surviving on their own. We need each other, and we're in this together. And the more that we can recognize that, there's great strengths when communities come together. We only got this far because of our ability to work together, and yet oftentimes people chose to focus on such little things or ego-based things that cause separation, when if you can stay at a higher frequency level and recognize that we're brothers, and that there's that synergy and connection and oneness, we behave better with each other, we behave better with the world, we behave better with the environment, and hopefully we can behave better with ourselves and give ourselves more love. And I certainly, in all the years of work, have seen that often one of the biggest challenges is how to treat yourself as well as you treat other people that you love and care about. That I've seen that be a challenge in every country of the world that I've been to. And yet it's also the great opportunity that when we recognize that we all have those struggles, that is something that, you know, unites us, and it's our path towards evolving our consciousness to
Yeah.
be more loving, to be more heart-based, to be more connected. And I know for yourself that you've done a lot of things with your body and your exercise and the foods and stuff that you choose to take in and to eat, and that there's many different ways that a person can try and get into their energetic and connected state. So what sort of advice would you have for people for how to be more connected and how to be more in their heart space and in their that sort of flow state?
Wow, thank you for that question. It's so big. It's a journey. So it's like a big cake, and there's many slices that needs to be in place for the full experience, right?
Right.
So one is, of course, just the beingness. Instead of being in the doingness,
Yeah.
beingness. Just slow down. Just slow down. Be connected to the breath all the way down to our tummy. And be connected to gratefulness. Just that we're here, you know, that we are here to experience this whole mess and this whole shift. Just be grateful. We're one of the few chosen ones. It says that there are billions, billions, billions of souls standing in line, want to come in to this experience. But we are the chosen ones. We're here. So just be grateful to that. You know, and then you can add on the food, the training, You can add, it's, of course, you know, it's a fine tuning, like an instrument, you know, the fine tuning, but the ground is very simple. Everyone can do it. It's just a beingness.
Yeah, I would resonate very, very highly with those, with that, is that my experience is that I've never met a person who is truly happy who isn't always also grateful. You know, is that if ultimately you want to live a happier life, the key that precedes that happiness is gratitude. I've not yet met someone who gets there without being grateful first.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
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 And
so I like to end this talk in a nice, smooth way, and we call it in Sweden with a little fleur or a little, what do you call it? The end of the tail on the pig has a little
swirl. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
swirl. Yeah, swirl.
Yeah.
So a little upswing, right?
Yeah.
So now we're in the toughest, most challenging time in the whole humanities evolution, right? History and evolution. And it looks like it's going to get much worse. We're in the darkest of times, and it's not going to stop in the close future. This is going to roll out for some time, at the same time as there is another timeline of the time of Aquarius, the time of us awakened people who are spiritually aligned and connected to source energy. We're aligned to each other, and we are waking up more and more for every day. We are millions of us. So it's for us to hold the light and hold the energy, to be the inspiration for ourselves and for others. So Malcolm, could you be so kind to end this talk with some positive notes of inspiration and advice on the path ahead?
Well, that you talk about a big question. That certainly qualifies as a big question, and I certainly am not the one to answer that for everyone. But what I will say for sure is that that path for each person is going to be it's going to have its unique parts. Like you said about gratitude and about some of the other things that you shared, there are certain things that I think are wonderful for everyone, and that part of it too is humans have already gone through a metamorphosis in the standpoint that when we're in our mothers, when we're at first, when we are inside of our mother, we're breathing liquid, and we have this deep connection, and we're literally changing cells. I think a really beautiful thing that I was going to talk about in the next Connected Universe, and I shared in some radio interviews, is that they used to think that that connection between mother and child was a one-way thing, that the mother would send cells to the baby, but they've actually learned that the child also sends cells to the mother, and those cells are recognized by the mother's body as so important. They're stored in vital organs. So if you're fortunate enough that your mother is still alive, that she has cells in her heart that are from you, and that they actually help work and protect her if she was to ever have a heart attack, that the cells from you would actually help protect and strengthen her heart. And that there's some profound connection and resonance that we all have. But back to the birth side of things, is that when the child is about to be born, and all of a sudden, wait, all the liquid is gone, and now you're being pushed and squeezed through something, and this nice, warm, safe, comfortable environment that you've had is all changing, and all of a sudden, what's happening? Is this the end of everything? But it turns out that it's the beginning of our life here in this world, is that's how we start and enter this. And so I would say that when you are feeling those stresses and challenges of everything that's happening, to recognize that, well, what if this is the next step towards something new? And rather than just quote unquote letting it happen to you, how about making a choice for it to be a more conscious metamorphosis, where recognizing that change is happening. So if you're recognizing that the change is happening, then why not do everything you can to make that change as positive as possible, to be able to envision with your heart and mind about your purpose and things that are resonating with you, so that you can do that in a powerful way. And so that when that new future comes, you can fly more like a butterfly instead of walking around through some of the old crap like the caterpillar. Why not be conscious in your metamorphosis? And that requires looking in, that requires doing things like meditation or connecting with nature, or doing some of those things that are deeply important, and exploring how do you get more connected? What other wisdom can you find from people who've already taken the path? And I love the quote that says, don't seek what the master knows, seek what the master sought. What are the questions that inspired them to explore on their journey? And what are the questions that you would have for yourself to say, well, if I could do anything in the world and be supported, what would I want to do? And start to explore some of those things and see if that helps you find your way forward. And also to remember to be kind to yourself, and that it's a journey, and everyone starts from different spots. And some people are in elementary school, and some people are in high school, and some people are in university, and to put it into that kind of a context, and that there's different, you have different growth when you're earlier in your journey versus when you're way further on, and that to just love and respect people in the different parts of the path. I think that is part of how we get more in harmony and synergy with each other, is that we're not all supposed to be the same. In fact, that would be horrible. So where would we get our learning experiences from if we were all, so similar? So sometimes the people that push our buttons, it's an opportunity for us to go, why is that pushing my buttons, and what could I learn from this, and how do I grow from this? I think that and feeling into the gratitude of the moment, and really working to be present with your thoughts, and present not just mentally, but really present with your heart as often as you can be. I think when you can do that, and I know for me, I'm happiest when I'm creating things that I am trying to gift to the world, and to share ideas, and to share deeper understandings. For me personally, that's something that allows me to charge forward amidst all kinds of obstacles, because I really feel for me that's why I feel that I'm here. So that gives me a lot of strength to persevere. And at the same time, when the level of consciousness and vibration, and when you're in that flow state, it starts to become effortless. And that's when I think you really know you're quote unquote in the zone, where it's no longer a struggle or an effort, but it's really just flowing. And there's always ebbs and times where sometimes it feels like it's flowing, and other times it's like, writer's block. It's like, okay, let's see where we, how we go. But believing in a better future, and visualizing what you want, and creating a conscious metamorphosis, to make a long answer longer. So,
Well, that's a great summary. That's a great summary. Yeah. Thank you, Malcom. Thank you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to see you, and to feel your energy, and to know that you're wanting to put this out into the world, and to share your gifts, and to bring more people to getting them to expand their ideas of who they are and who they can become. I thank you for the chance to share, and to connect, and to discuss this. So much love, and deeply appreciated.
Likewise, Malcom. Thank you so much. So for those of the audience who are looking now to get more connected with your work, I will leave some links underneath the video.
Thank you.
And also there is some upcoming great new projects that are in the works. They're coming out over the next few months, right?
Thank you. Yes, there are some.
Yeah. Do you want to mention?
Well, one of them is a project to help save 500,000 hectares of Amazonian forest, and the indigenous people that live there, and a project with Stand for Trees. They're really doing some beautiful things about finding ways to protect our environment, and then did a project for endangered animals again, to try and help. And I think when you recognize, what's funny is that they're different projects, and yet to me they're all the same. The work that I'm doing in the artificial intelligence podcast, the Metamorphosis project at Burning Man, the Amazon, the endangered animals, the mental health projects, they have a similarity and a oneness in terms of that when we can choose to try and be the best humans that we can be, then we see the world not just for what we can get out of it for ourselves, but what we can give to it and how we can be a healthy, synergistic, contributing part of it. So although it's half a dozen different projects, they feel very much the same to me, because at their heart, they are all the same, which goes back to the connected universe of everything, connecting to this oneness and to the flow of everything. So, yeah, but I thank you for sharing some of the links, and for anyone that, would like to take a look at the work and support that, and to do that, it's always greatly appreciated. So we can continue creating more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So with that, I want to thank you so much for today, and also to let you and everybody else know we're I would say, in the beginning of the end, and in the beginning of the beginning.
Yeah, the beginning of the beginning. That's where I like to look and focus. And there are beautiful possibilities when we show up as our best selves.
Yeah, yeah. So I always end with also, well, sometimes I forget, but now I remember, and that is that to, no matter how dark it might seem, to just have this inner knowing, be connected to the trust, not the faith, but the real knowing that there is a divine plan that is much bigger than what the chaos that is going on right now. And it is a metamorphosis transition, a transformation of the whole of humanity to the next phase of our evolution, right? So if we just go into that when things are way too dark to understand and comprehend, just go through the darkness and know there is light in the end of the tunnel, things will get better. We just need to go through this last part of the dark ages, but we can connect to the good stuff already now. Now it's here already.
Well,
right?
I remember seeing a very beautiful meme. It said, "The light at the end of the tunnel isn't an illusion. The tunnel is the illusion."
There you go.
So,
exactly.
Because it's like the fish who is just always surrounded by water. It's everywhere. Like the love and connection and everything is all around, and the tunnel is more the illusion than the light at the end of the tunnel. And so when you can sort of feel through the tunnel, or even though you can't even see the light, you might be so deep in the tunnel that you can't even see the light at the end, know that there's actually light all around, and that tunnel isn't going to last forever. So as you keep going, you can continue to get closer to that place where maybe the tunnel just dissolves away, and you can feel all that love and connection that's all around. So then you're doing really well on your journey when you get to that place.
Exactly. Just like putting water on a swan, the feathers are so it's about also to take a break from the television and all the negative people that want to bring you the latest bad news. We need the good news. We need to focus on the good stuff in order for that to manifest, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So Malcolm,
thank you.
1,000 thanks to all that you are and all that you do. A big hug to you. I look forward to talk to you and see you shortly again, whenever that might be.
All the best, my friend. Thank you again for having me and for this talk. It's always a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you, brother.
Have a good night.
Take care.
Have a good day for you. Okay. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you all. Bye-bye.